Alert, alert! We have a team qualifying under the money-making betting system called the scoring drought, which is obviously a 5-star play for today. Now, in total, I would like to share 6 MLB predictions with you, so stay tuned until the end. First, let's do a quick recap of yesterday's action. We bounced back from a losing Monday by storming back with a lot of profits yesterday. In fact, as you can see on your screen, we picked up 5 wins versus 1 loss. And in total, a person risking $100 per play earned a profit of $323 last night. So that quickly erased Monday's losses. Alright, and that was after 2 weeks of success. Now, as far as the famous lobster bet is concerned, we won again for the 3rd straight day. This time we took the Arizona Diamondbacks minus half a run in the first 5 innings against Pittsburgh. And through 5 innings, the score was 6-0 in favor of Arizona, so this was an easy winner. Alright, now let's move on with today's first pick. I'm opting for the Astros to win outright against the A's. Now, yesterday, Houston picked up an 11-1 victory over the A's. They got the jump early by piling on 9 runs in the opening 4 innings. Now, for this reason, Houston fits under a betting system called the blowout number 1, whose rules are as follows. Bet a team that won its previous game by a margin of at least 8 runs if they are facing the same club again. So since Houston prevailed by a 10-run margin yesterday against the A's and they are facing the same opponent again, we need to back Houston, and that explains pick number 1. So far this year, this betting strategy has produced a 25-22 record for tiny losses. In fact, we have lost less than 1 unit. This betting strategy has not done super well in recent years, so I am being cautious with it. But today, I like its recommendation. Now, I do fancy the Astros' chances today versus a ball club that lost 13 of its past 15 games. The A's are really falling apart after a surprisingly good start to their 2025 campaign. Meanwhile, Houston keeps getting closer and closer to the top spot in the American League West Division. Starting for the Astros is Lance McCullers, who is still showing rust after a lengthy injury, as he's giving up too many free passes. But still, he has allowed 2 runs or fewer in 3 of his 4 outings this season. So I think he has a shot of rebounding and doing enough to win the game today. So that's my first pick. Up next, we have 2 teams qualifying under a betting system called the comeback. Let's review its rules first. It says, bet any team that meets the following 3 criteria. They came back from a deficit of 4+ runs in their previous game. Number 2, they are facing the same opponent again. And number 3, their money line must be better than minus 175, so we want to avoid big favorites because they have not shown to be profitable under such conditions. Alright, so let's take a look at the Pittsburgh-Arizona game that I was talking about not very long ago. So I told you that my lobster bet yesterday was Arizona to hold the lead through 5 innings. And in fact, they led 6-0, but incredibly enough, Pittsburgh stormed back to win the game 9-6. So as you can see, Pittsburgh fits all criteria for betting. They came back from a deficit of at least 4 runs, they're facing the same opponent, and they are not big favorites today. So for this reason, pick number 2 goes to the Pirates to win outright in Arizona. They are slight underdogs right now. We have Paul Skenes squaring off against Gallen. As you have probably noticed, Paul Skenes has not gotten much run support this season, as shown by his 3-5 record, but he remains one of the best pitchers in baseball. He owns a sparkling 2.36 ERA along with a 0.95 whip stat. In fact, he has posted a quality start in 7 of his last 8 appearances on the mound. Now, the same cannot be said about his counterpart, Zach Gallen, whose career is headed in the wrong direction. Since starting the 2023 All-Star Game, we have seen his ERA creep up in each of the last 3 seasons. So far this year, he owns an alarming 5.25 ERA, and he has walked batters at a high rate. In fact, Gallen leads the National League in terms of the number of walks issued to opposing batters, which is not great. So I like Pittsburgh along with their corresponding positive odds, even though I am aware that Arizona has a much better offense than Pittsburgh. I still think the Pirates will pull off the upset today. Now we have another club that qualifies under this betting system, and who am I talking about? So you need to think about a team that came back from a pretty big deficit, and the answer is the San Diego Padres. They staged an epic comeback last night as they clawed back from a disastrous 6-run first inning to get the spoils at Petco Park. As you can see on your screen, Miami scored 6 runs in the first, and then San Diego ended up taking the game by an 8-6 score. Since the Padres are facing the same opponent again, and they are not huge favorites, remember that the criteria for betting was that the line must be better than minus 175, and as you can see with the screenshot here, I have seen many bookies with a line between minus 160 and minus 170. So San Diego qualifies, and I'm taking the Padres. By the way, I forgot to mention how, to me, the Pirates are a pick rated 4 stars out of 5. So it's my second strongest play of the day. We will find out that we have a 5-star play later on. Alright, so now, am I concerned about San Diego's starter, Kyle Hart? Yes, I am. Has he shown signs of improvement this year? Well, not really. In fact, he was demoted and he made 3 starts with El Paso in AAA. But I think his second stint in MLB this season will start well against a weaker opponent. Meanwhile, Sandy Alcantara's season has not been better than Hart's. In fact, it has been even worse, as he owns a dreadful 8.04 ERA. Can you believe that? After missing the entire 2024 season, his comeback season has been a nightmare. Can you believe that Alcantara has squandered at least 4 runs in 5 straight outings? That is disappointing. And now facing a tough San Diego lineup won't be of any help for sure. So I am taking San Diego to win this game outright. Let's move on to my 4th pick of the day, which is the St. Louis Cardinals to win straight up in Baltimore as slight underdogs. This play is rated 3 stars out of 5. Now, Baltimore failed to extend their season-high 3-game winning streak by losing 7-4 last night, despite a favorable pitching matchup. Now today, the pitching edge goes to St. Louis, who has been a much more consistent club this season. And I also like the positive odds associated with St. Louis. Now, Cade Povich displayed better performances lately, but he still owns an ERA which is hovering around 5. And also, Baltimore's bullpen has been abysmal this season, and in fact, they have a taxed bullpen because they used 5 relievers yesterday. Also, Mikolas, who is slated to be the starter today for the Cardinals, has been quite strong this season, except for a 9-run implosion on April 6th at Fenway Park. Other than that, he has surrendered 3 runs or fewer in 9 of his 10 starts. It doesn't get any better than this. My 5th pick of the day concerns the Cincinnati versus Kansas City game. Which team do I believe is going to win? The answer is the Reds as small favorites. This pick is graded 3 stars out of 5, which means I view it as being a good bet. Now, has rookie Noah Cameron been impressive? Hell yes. Now, in 19 1/3 innings, he has allowed only 7 hits and 2 runs, which is fantastic. Is it going to last? No, I don't think so, and I believe the regression starts today. Despite Cameron's sparkling numbers, I still trust Hunter Green better. And of course, Cincinnati's offense is much more dangerous than Kansas City's. In the past 5 games, the Royals have scored an average of 2.6 runs per game, which is very low. So ultimately, after analyzing this matchup in detail, I prefer to side with the Cincinnati Reds to get the chocolates today. Alright, we only have 1 pick left, and remember I told you earlier that one of them is rated 5 stars. Well, here it comes. And the pick in question fits under the scoring drought betting system that has done a fantastic job this year. In fact, before we review its rules, let me talk about its recent record. In the 2025 record, we've had 18 teams qualifying under this betting strategy, and they have posted a 16-2 record. Can you believe that? Now, last year, we posted a 31-14 record by using this betting angle. And the year before, in 2023, we racked up a 36-6 record. So if you combine those 3 seasons together, we have accumulated 83 wins versus 22 losses, a 79% winning rate. Now, some people tend to detract this betting system by saying that it's always picking a big home a big home favorite. And personally, I hate betting big favorites as well, except when it comes to the scoring drought betting system, because it has posted so much profit. So in those around 100 recent bets, the average odds have been hovering around minus 200 or 1.5 in decimal odds. Now that means that your break-even win percentage is 67%. Alright, so that means if you are hoping to make a profit at such average odds, you need a winning rate above 67%. And like I showed you, across the past 3 years, we have won at a 79% success rate, which is much higher. And that's why we have accumulated a return on investment around plus 20% during this time span. So to me, profit is profit. Okay? If the odds are low, like today, the pick we're making is at odds around minus 200, and I believe they have a much higher chance of winning than 67%. So let's review its rules in case you missed it. And also, it's been 14 days since we had a qualifying team, so I'm really happy to have one today. So the scoring drought betting angle says fade the road team if they lost their past 2 games by scoring 2 runs or less in each of those defeats, and if their moneyline today is greater than plus 150. If you're more familiar with decimal odds, we are requiring the road team to have a line above 2.5. Now let's take a look at the Washington Nationals' recent schedule. As you can see, they have lost their past 2 games by scoring 1 and 2 runs respectively. And now their money line today is higher than plus 150, so we need to bet against Washington and that's why my sixth pick is the Seattle Mariners to get the W against Washington. As you can see on your screen, the best odds available at the moment are -203 with bookmaker. So depending on your bookie, maybe the line is -210, -220, but it should be around this figure. All right. I have more arguments supporting this pick. As you know, I don't necessarily follow my betting systems blindly. I do an in-depth analysis prior to pulling the trigger on a team. Now, from May 17 to May 22nd, Washington scored an average of 8.3 runs per game, so they were on fire. But since then, they have scored 0, 3, 2, and 1 run, and that equates to an average of 1.5. And also, the Nats are throwing out Trevor Williams on the mound, who has allowed 25 hits over his last 19 innings of work. He has also allowed a 305 batting average on the season. Now, granted, George Kirby's season debut went badly. He starts today for Seattle. So in his only outing this year, he has allowed 5 earned runs in 3 2/3 innings at Houston. But I really believe that he will do much better today against a reeling club. And also, he has been rock solid at home. If you take a look at his ERA since 2023, in Seattle, it sits at a pretty 2.87. So I really love the Mariners to win today. I don't care about the fact that the odds are quite low. I think Seattle has a chance of winning, which is much higher than 67%. And by the way, when we talk about this betting system, I always issue a warning. Okay, I do not recommend taking the Mariners with the -1.5 run line, even though it has more juicy odds. I know it is tempting, but I have been burned too often in recent years. Those of you who followed me in 2023 and 2024, sometimes I did that and I took the run line, and on many occasions, the team we supported lost by a 1-run margin. So we lost on the run line, whereas we would have won the bet with the money line. And by the way, recently, I could show you my screen so that you can see all the picks this season made by the scoring drought. Maybe I can zoom so that you can see better. So there you go. You have all the picks made by this system this year. This column has a 1 when the pick won and 0 if it lost. And so right now we have won the past 4 picks. And if I remember correctly, I may be wrong here, I think those 3 won by a margin of exactly 1 run. So I'm really happy that we took the money line, and there were a few others here. So I don't think it's worth it. I know it is tempting to get more juicy odds, but I don't recommend doing it personally. I mean, if you put a gun on my head and force me to bet the run line, yes, I would still go with Seattle rather than Washington, but I feel like the better choice is to opt for the Mariners money line. Alright, so as always, I'm taking a break from making a video on Thursday, so I will see you again on Friday with more picks. Meanwhile, I invite you to subscribe to the channel because I want to grow your bankroll. As simple as that. So I'm Professor MJ, holder of a PhD in statistics and bookie crusher since 1999. I want to grow your bankroll, so follow the best sports betting YouTube channel. Thanks, my friend. I see you again on Friday.